stand to see her cry. I couldn't stand to be the reason why. And all the spaceships flying saucers, still can't believe that I really lost her. And all the spaceships flying saucers, still can't believe that I really lost her.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to That's Not Normal, It's Paranormal. I'm Big T here at the Lair, and like always, here with my buddy Dante. How you doing tonight?
What's up? I'm feeling pretty good.
Same, man, same. Well, we just want to welcome everybody back for a fun-filled episode. And something I don't have much experience with, but the topic of tonight is some good old-fashioned sleep paralysis.
Which is a horrible topic to listen to right before you go to bed. So that's why we're going to release this one late at night.
Yeah, man. Get the brain juices going and set you up for not being able to move. Is it a demon? Is it your brain? Is it some scary man with a hat in the corner? I've heard all the stories, man, but never experienced it myself.
It is quite terrifying, and I have experienced it, and I will tell you guys that story here a little later on. So, Troy, what is sleep paralysis? Do you know?
I don't know all the technical terms or what it's defined as in like a medical sense, but I know it's in a way of, from what I understand, being like half asleep, half awake, where your brain's functioning, where you can like kind of see around, but you can't move. I know it's believed to be just kind of like a natural phenomenon, but there's also a lot of stories that have to do with paranormal phenomenon. People seeing like shadow figures or dark entities. Sometimes people seeing like the same sort of entity, from my understanding. Seems like some pretty scary shit though. Not being able to move, it's kind of seeing, not being able to talk, not being able to scream, and then seeing things on top of that.
And there's a lot of medical. I tried to go into the scientific reason because there is a lot of documentaries out there about this, and a lot of medical people, they're trying to say it's normal to have sleep paralysis, and everything you see is inside your mind, supposedly. But if you want the technical term, sleep paralysis is when there's like, I'm not a medical doctor, but there's 6 to like 8 different stages your body goes through for sleep. And I might be wrong. It might be 4 to 6. I can't remember if it's 4 to 6 or 6 to 8. But during the rapid eye movement, the brain, that is where you have dreams. That's where your dreams come from. The brain will prevent your muscles and your limbs from moving to protect yourself from acting out your dreams and hurting yourself. And that's how it happens is you wake up while you're still in this stage and you're awake, but your body is still in that stage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's supposed to protect you, and yet it terrifies the fuck out of you.
I mean, I can understand the protective part of it because, a lot of people do a lot of moving. Some people are doing crazy things in the dreams. I mean, and me, like most people, have had some weird experiences in dreams where you're running and or you're flying or in a vehicle or doing some kind of activity. And I guess it's a good thing that your body stays, not getting out of bed, pretending like you're playing pretend while you're asleep in the physical realm.
Yeah, because I'd hate to wake up and like suplex Sarah in her sleep. Like,
you're just macho man in it.
Oh yeah,
from the dresser, getting ready to drop the elbow.
She wakes up and I'm just my fingers pointed straight up in the sky, dropping the elbow. I got to win that Intercontinental title, man. But so when you look up the medical terms, there's a lot of research that's not finished. Like they don't know why exactly it happens. It's like a Viagra commercial. The reason they tell you to, the things they tell you to do to prevent it is fucking ridiculous to me. Like, it's like common sense stuff just to have decent sleep. So it'll be like, uh, eat good, eat healthy. Okay. Sleep at a normal pattern. What was the one?
I never got time for that.
No, like it was all stuff that you should probably be doing already. And I have no idea how like it would affect sleep paralysis. But it can last, and this is they don't really know for sure, but it can last from few seconds to 20 minutes to the average is like 6 or 7, and they just end. And I will tell you guys a trick about that later. When I tell my story. But
so before you tell your story, though, on average, how long have your experiences lasted? You don't have to go in great detail. It's just a general question.
I tell you what, mine happened a while back. Like it's probably been, I don't know, say probably 10 years ago. Mine probably happened 10 years ago. And it felt like forever, but I don't know how long it actually lasted because back in that day, I had like no clocks in my room and only my flip phone. So like it wasn't like I could see what time it was, you know. I never set the timer.
Man.
I never set my timer on my VCR. That didn't happen. So it probably just flickered 666 the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been 3 a.m., man.
It probably was. 3 a.m. is the witching hour. Wait till you guys fucking fall asleep tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this intrigued me. I didn't know this, but they did a study. Like I said, they've done these studies, but they didn't really finish them. So they're kind of pointless. But there's 3 different categories of hallucinations you can have during sleep paralysis. And 2 of them ties into demons and monsters and aliens and all that good shit. The number one hallucination that people have is intruder, the perception of a dangerous person or presence in the room. Number 2 is chest pressure hallucinations, the feeling of something upon your chest suffocating you, which we'll get into that. And then the last one is very interesting. Vestibular motor hallucinations. Now, Troy, this one is exciting because that one is practically an out-of-body experience.
Oh, is that like looking down at yourself or
Yeah.
Or yeah. What is the other term, which would probably be a conversation for the other day, was like astral projection?
Exactly.
We can leave your physical form and travel, not physically, but just kind of traveling around.
Yep, that dead on. And that intrigued me because I've never thought of it like that. You know what I mean? Because before I started doing research on this, I didn't know that was one of the hallucinations. But to me, that's not a hallucination. You know, people actually can do that. Supposedly, you could be skeptic about it.
Yeah, for sure. And I felt like that'll be a topic for another day as well. But that's always an interesting thing. My question is if they've ever really figured out why it happens. Like, is it just like a trigger of your imagination? Because we all have an imagination, whether you're a kid, whether you're a person, you daydream, you think about things. Obviously, you have dreams and stuff at nighttime. But like, is it a process or something like that to why you supposedly make an intruder? Or is it something where you're actually underneath attack and they're trying to scientifically prove it, which, science is weird and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem like it's a definite study, because you said none of the studies have really been finished from your research. But it's an interesting thing, man.
And so as far as I can tell, it really depends on the person. Like, if you have high anxiety, which makes sense if you think about it, it seems like them people get more of the chest pressure. Um, what was
Well,
it?
as a person who suffers from, anxiety disorder myself, it's like I understand the chest thing because it can happen with a panic or anxiety attack, normally while you're awake. You can have a pressure feeling like in your chain or chest pains in general. Like one of the symptoms when I feel a panic or anxiety attack coming on, I'll feel like a tightness in my chest. So, I mean, that makes sense.
And I think now it really depends on what you see or whatever, but the intruder one to me, I feel like is probably the most common one I've seen. Or read stories about and stuff. And the intruder one's the one I kind of had, but I feel like it's more because you feel helpless, depending on whether or not you believe something's there. You feel helpless, so the shadows plays tricks on you. So, which I mean, it could really be monsters there and everything like that. And a lot of stories, a lot of people, a guy. So if you've seen our post of the painting, that is one of the stories. People had sleep paralysis. That was made in 1781. And they had it even back then. And it was even in Egypt times. And in Egypt, they would have sleep paralysis and they would call the creature a jinn, which that's another topic for itself. And then in other places, they call it the old hag. An old hag would sit on your chest and they would describe her like a witch. And it's just, a lot of people think that, alien abductions, any ghost stories, demonic presence, a lot of people think that came from sleep paralysis.
I mean, it makes sense. I've definitely heard of the old hag, and the jinn thing would make sense because obviously that's normally more of like a Middle Eastern type of entity. But yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense. I've heard of the old hag thing, especially. There's a lot of stories that even don't have to do with sleep paralysis. A lot of people have nightmares that involve like an older woman that's described as like a witch, like hag.
And another intriguing thing is they would, I don't remember the exact time frame, but it was like 1800s and stuff. They talked more about succubuses and succubis, the male version, which I found that out today. I didn't know that. And
Incubus.
Yeah. And they are the ones that people would think they would sit on their chest, like suffocating them and try to have their way with them. So there was some sleep paralysis rape trying to happen back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, there's still beliefs and stuff. A lot of people believe that those are entities that exist, succubus and incubi. There's a lot of folklore and stuff that has to do with it as well.
Now, Troy, now I'm going to get into the scary shit. All right. Now, hopefully you're listening to this at like 12:05 in the morning, build up a little atmosphere. And there's so many different layers of sleep paralysis that we could go. So I figured let's go into the evil section. Of course, you hear about shadow people, and we could go more into the succubuses and all that stuff, but let's get straight to the point. Hat Man. And Hat Man is a terrifying motherfucker.
I've heard of that one a lot, which makes it more interesting, the fact that a lot of people have seen the same entity during a time of experiencing sleep paralysis.
And he is a special one because many people consider him a demonic entity, and that he will come and he acts like a ghost, but like he always leaves through doorways. Not, I mean, I won't say always, majority of the time, like he will just simply like fade into a doorway because most of the shadow people disappear, you know, in the shadows of the room, shadows of this or that, almost like you see them and they're gone. The Hat Man, you will see him leave.
A lot of times I've heard stories too where people will be having one of these episodes where they can't move and they're looking around and they'll actually see him standing in the doorway. Heard that as well.
Yeah, he likes doorways. He's a doorway man, which I'm glad in my bedroom I'm not towards the doorway. So,
Oh, it's going to visit you tonight, sir.
Probably. This is an interesting thing too, is I read that, I don't know how true it is, but I read that, and I've heard this before, the more you talk about this subject, sleep paralysis, Hat Man, the more likely it's like Freddy Krueger, and which is a fun fact. Freddy Krueger is based on the Hat Man, and the more you talk about him, the more likely of a chance he will show up.
I mean, very possible. One of those, like Beetlejuice, you say it too many times, man.
Yeah. And you could just be listening to, I saw a story where a woman was listening to paranormal podcast. I don't know what it was or anything. It didn't say in the story. And she never thought about the Hat Man before. And this is the first time she ever heard about it. And then that night she had a Hat Man encounter, which it could have been her imagination because, I mean, it is a scary topic, but that what's the chances the first day she learns about it and that night she sees him.
Yeah, so for all of you out there listening to this podcast, if you have an experience with a shadow person wearing a hat tonight, you make sure you hit us so you can comment, like, and subscribe, you know, all that fun jazz. And let your boys know if you experience any sleep paralysis and a visit from the Hat Man.
And we haven't even really got to like, he looks like, this is going to sound bad. He looks like the Undertaker. Supposedly he looks like the Undertaker. He's like a real tall dude, wears, you know, a fedora or like, I won't say a cowboy hat, but it could be like a cowboy hat. It was more like gangster fedora looking. Yeah, like top hat. Yeah. And he just like, it's not that he really does anything to you. Now I've watched a few things on YouTube about him because I wanted to know more. But what I read for the most part, he don't really do anything evil to you, but he'll stand there and he'll just watch you. And you know he's there. Like he'll stand there and he'll watch you, and you could feel that he wants to do you harm. And he has just this vibe about him where like he's gonna like eat your soul or something. And it'll just like create this fear in you. And supposedly, this is where they get he's a demonic entity, he feeds off your fear. And that is the main purpose of his visit, is him feeding off your fear. You're like a buffet to this man or woman. I don't know.
Yeah, before you know it, you're going to rest in peace.
Like he tombstones you. and if you are, it's one of the things about him is he appears to anyone at any time. There's not really a pattern. Like with the shadow people, a lot of that is some of that like different sleep paralysis times, like when they was doing the studies, like say I don't know, say you ate anchovies and you didn't sleep right, because apparently you got to eat healthy to not get sleep paralysis. And every Wednesday you eat anchovies and shadow men appear to you in your sleep. Well, there's no pattern for this. I mean, it's just, he just might just randomly show up. And it says that like if you are struggling in your life and there's a lot of distress or anger, that's when he appears, supposedly, is because he could feel like that energy. And so then he'll come and like feed off you, make you fear, and then eat it all.
It feels your emotion.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and fill us in on your personal story here with sleep paralysis?
I will, but hold on one second. I got a shocker. Like if I had a button for an alarm, be like, doo. So I'm excited about this, Troy, because I've never heard this story ever. And well, it's not really a story, but it's a theory. Okay. And so there's this YouTuber. She's a psychic. Okay. Her name's Gigi, like Gigi. I don't remember what her last name is, but I'll give her a shout out. She talks about her experience of interacting with the Hat Man. And so she had a hypnosis session, right? And the Hat Man kept visiting her. And through her hypnosis session, she saw where he was coming from by following him back and doing, like you said, astral projection, a remote viewing of him. She found out he was from an earlier time in an apartment or hotel room that looked like it was the 1950s or 60s. And she remembered the place had a sense of sadness and loneliness because she was a psychic. And she, on a coffee table, saw a manila folder that said Watchers. She suspected that that particular Shadow Hat Man was someone who was involved in a government program where psychics were being trained to do remote viewing.
Men in Black.
Exactly. And I found that interesting because that's the first time I've ever heard that theory ever.
All comes back to the Men in Black.
And I just thought that was really cool. Like it was too cool not to share because we talk about him being a demon and we talk about him being, like there's theories where he's like a leader of shadow people and all kinds of stuff like that. And then this one is he's a time traveler from the 60s for a government program. Like that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, man. We're just getting more and more into the Men in Black. We'll have to watch out next month, man. We'll be down there, possibly on a nice little trip. We might not come back.
you will be disappeared from doing a podcast for another 5 weeks. You know what happened?
Well, I mean, that's about our normal now, and that's we get on schedule here.
Yeah, folks, we are trying to be a little more on schedule, so look out for more episodes frequently. We're trying.
We're working on it.
But anyways, I will go into my story now, Troy. So it's back in 1962. No, wait, that's the wrong story. No, it was probably 2010, 2011, probably somewhere around there. And at that time, I just really got into paranormal stuff. Like, I won't say I got into it heavily, but I found Art Bell and I listened to him nonstop. And so every night I listen to Art Bell, and it actually kind of helped me out and not freaked me out. And this leads to my trick I'll tell you guys here at the end. So I won't say like I was in the best spot in my life. Like I was a little depressed, probably a little bit, and just random life stuff. And one night I'm there and I'm laying on my back, and I normally don't lay on my back. I sleep on my stomach or my side. In my room, I lived at home with my parents, and it's a small room. My dad built it. It's not haunted. It's not, there's nothing freaky about this house. Like it's hand built. It's not built on a Native American burial ground. It's just, and I'm there, and all of a sudden I wake up and I can't move. And I kind of knew what was, at first I was freaked out. Don't get me wrong. I was kind of freaked out. And like I said, my room was kind of small. Well, about that time, there was like a shadow guy. My closet was directly across from where my bed was. And there was like a shadow guy like came out of there. And I'm like, oh fuck. Like, like I shouldn't have listened to Art Bell. And
Aw.
yeah, I didn't shit myself because I couldn't move, but I was like, this fucking sucks.
Well, I know
And
you didn't have your brown pants on, so
yeah, no, I was terrified, and at first it was just it started moving towards me, and like I said, I could not move. And about that time, this is the only reason why I wish I could remember more, because like I said, it was pretty terrifying, and I cannot remember what exactly how this happened, but he kind of floated on top of me, like, which makes me think it wasn't a shadow person. Like, it could have been like, it might have been Hat Man. I don't know, because there's cases where Hat Man comes over top of you and like sits on your chest or whatever, suffocates you. But he kind of was over top of me, and I don't remember exactly what he looked like because, like I said, it was I'm fucking freaked out, and he's over top of me, and I could just remember. Here's my trick: Art Bell interviewed a guy that was talking about sleep paralysis demons, but he was like real into where they're not a figment of your imagination; they're real demons and this and that, which they might be. I don't know, and so he taught through that radio broadcast. He taught me that if you ever get sleep paralysis, it's because, like I said, your brain's awake, but your body's not moving yet. So if you close your eyes and just like count to 10, I know it sounds simple, but if you close your eyes and just kind of like take a breath and like try to like, hey, there's not a monster staring down at me from the ceiling right now. And when I opened my eyes back up, it was gone and I could move my fingers. Now I kind of freaked out. I didn't open my eyes till I could move my fingers. Like, but it was definitely a terrifying experience. I couldn't imagine. Supposedly some people have them about every other day. And I couldn't imagine that. Like, mine was scary. That was the scariest thing I ever really had happen to me. And it sounds simple because, like I said, I don't remember. I mean, I probably couldn't see its face, but it was like right on top of me, like just floating there. And I don't know what it is, but it was creepy, man. It was terrifying. So if you ever find yourself in that position, just try to realize it's not, say it's not real. Close your eyes and just kind of calm down.
yeah, man, that's crazy. Like, I couldn't imagine. Like I said, I've never had an experience like that. I've had other paranormal experiences, which we've talked about, but not that.
And
Sometimes staying calm and trying to keep cool headed is the best way you can do in a lot of situations.
And I mean, there's nothing you can do. So, I mean, you just got to try not to freak out because, what are you going to do? Fight it with your mouth, like spit on it or something? Like, I don't even know if you can spit. Like, I don't remember. I didn't even try to talk. I mean, that's the weird part is I never shut up. So you figure out.
Normally, a lot of things I hear says that you can't talk or scream or anything. Normally, the only thing you can move is your eyes.
Yeah, and I mean, I knew, like I said, I know I could move my eyes, but I couldn't move my body. So, but I never even tried to talk. So I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah. You would have just talked shit.
I probably would have or tried to be like, or I might have been like, "Hey, baby, let me clap that booty." Whether or not it let me do that would be a different story. He might not have had a booty. I don't know. Does Hat Man got a booty? That's my question for everyone. Someone that could draw out there, draw me a booty man, Hat Man. That'll be our next shirt.
And hey, man, if you have some stories of your own about sleep paralysis, Hat Man, something of the sort, or anything really, any kind of experiences, Always feel free, man. You can message us anytime. Email us at nnpnpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's nnpnpodcast@gmail.com. Also, hit us up on all of our social media. We're on Facebook. Everything's up. We're working on getting everything up on YouTube. You can listen to the podcast and comment also on Podbean. And what other social medias you got us up on now?
Okay, so we have a strong following on Instagram somehow. So thank you for everyone for that. We're up on, we're on Podbean, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, probably never Apple Music. We're on pretty much everything. I am working on YouTube. Like eventually it'll be just a shitload of videos on YouTube one day. Like I said, Instagram, definitely thank you for all the follows on Instagram. Instagram grew like overnight, and it's a bunch of it's actually real people, which surprised me. Huge shout out.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Huge shout out to Captain Catfeesh for allowing us to use their music for our podcast. And a shout out for Tim Dennis of Darkness Radio. If you've never listened to that podcast or radio show, give them a listen. They've been doing it for years. Really good. He gave me advice tonight, and I appreciate it greatly.
Oh, awesome, man. You know what? Didn't know that, but yeah, that'll be a discussion that we'll definitely have. Also, yeah, like feel free to message us comments, make any kind of suggestions. We appreciate every kind of follow, every like. Would love to hear more from everybody. If you have some stories, stuff that we can touch base on the podcast, we're all for suggestions. We have discussed about possibly doing some other things to post on our YouTube, maybe Facebook Live. We're in the process, because we're slackers, of planning a trip next month, last minute. Not really last minute, but last minute planning, I think would be more like it. Talking about maybe going down to the Mothman Festival, September 16th and 17th in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. If you'd like to see some live video, some chatting, we might check out some places while we're out and about.
Yeah, and we're going to try to do some like local places around here too. Like make like a video vlog. I think let us know if you'd be interested in that. I think it'd be cool to do like short 10, 15-minute vlogs of us at haunted locations, checking them out so you can see them and, know what we're talking about if we do a show about it. And I think it'd be pretty cool. I think it'd be interesting to see.
Oh, definitely. The other thing is we are going to have a podcast here soon. I know we spoke about it before, but we've been in contact with a person who actually goes out and Bigfoot hunts and tries to find some evidence of Bigfoot. If you have any questions, we are in the process of working on getting her to come on to the podcast, which she's more than welcome to, and she's happy to do so. So we're going to come up with some questions and stuff and have her on the podcast sometime. And I think that'll be really interesting, getting to talk to somebody who's out and about, trying to find some proof of some cryptids, and be fun to hear about her experiences and see some of her evidence that she's found.
Yeah, I'm actually super excited about that episode. Actually, I'm really excited about it because I love to pick her brain and, learn some stuff that she knows, and I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, man. So, like I said, we're going to work on getting a little bit of a better schedule here, and thank everybody for their patience.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be more on schedule here soon. We're going to try to put them up weekly or bi-weekly and do it consistently. That's our game plan. And I think my schedule is starting to settle down some. So what I'm doing now, we should be able to figure it out. Have like a consistent day of when we're letting stuff at, releasing stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll get everything taken care of. But just remember, y'all, when you're out there tonight trying to sleep after listening to this wonderful podcast, and you wake up, you can't move, and you see the Undertaker in your doorway, just remember, it's possible. That's not normal. It's paranormal.
I'm seeing shit that's burned my brain, won't go away, and I'm pretty sure it's staying, 'cause it stays, and it's strange, only feel good in the fall. Cartoons, yeah, they help it subside. Don't wanna think about when we die. It's alright, it's only at night, only feel good in the fall.
One. Say, it's not normal. It's paranormal.